Hi, Steve here from Scratching for Controller DJs. Welcome to this tutorial where this time we're going to be looking at the Pioneer DDJ-SX controller and Serato DJ software and telling you very simply the settings that you need to put in place to optimize this setup for scratching. So the good news is the Pioneer, it's a great controller, it's a popular controller, and it's pretty good for scratching. I've been having a lot of fun with it over the last 10 minutes or so, and it's well built, and there should be nothing holding you back from being able to scratch pretty proficiently on this controller, as long as you've got the settings right. So let's get straight into that. So first of all, let's look at the software. And the software, go into Setup. And the two things that you need to look at here are the virtual deck speed. So you've got a choice of 33 or 45 RPM. For me, 45 RPM works the best, but it is a case of personal preferences, so feel free to try the other one. And then the only other thing you need to look at in this particular setup configuration is the latency, the buffer size. And for me, I'm fortunate enough to be able to be getting away with quite a low latency at the moment here. So I've got it at 2 milliseconds and 128 samples. But the same rule applies in any software. Try and get it as low as possible so that every single movement of the fader is an instant reaction in the audio. What you do is what you hear. And if you get it as low as possible, but some systems won't be able to cope with it, so just get it as low as you can get away with. So that's it in the software. That is now optimized for scratching. So obviously now we have to look at the hardware. So the controller itself, there's only a couple of things you need to do here to make sure that you're set up for scratching, so let's get straight into it. The first one is the crossfader curve. So it's a button here on the front which pops out and is a rotary button, and a rotary knob, and you need to turn that all the way to the right, which is the sharp cut, the sharpest cut, which means that the shortest travel of the crossfader is going to be all that's needed between the sound being completely off and the sound being at full volume. So you can get really good sharp cuts, and also if you're moving on to things like crabs and flares, that's the setting you're going to need. The crossfader on the DDJ-SX is replaceable, which is great news because you're going to wear it out with all your practice, so that's a good little feature. Next, moving on to the sensitivity of the jog wheels. You've got a setting again on the front of the unit, one for each jog wheel, and I found that just the maximum sensitivity was the best here. There wasn't really much difference as you went down. It kind of, to be honest with you, it seems like it's not that great a feature, but maximum, have it set to maximum, and that's what I found to be the best. Okay, really important if you're going to do any scratching is that you need to have your jog mode set to vinyl. Otherwise, you're not even going to be able to grab your sound. You'll be touching the jog wheels and thinking, this isn't working, I can't scratch with it. So that needs to be set to vinyl. And really important, slip mode, which is here, that needs to be off. Slip mode is a feature that means that if you stop or manipulate the track in any way, say you're doing some scratching with it, the track will carry on playing underneath, and when you let it go, it will jump to that point. So obviously you don't want that, so that needs to be off. The only other things you need to look out for on this controller are just the proximity of the deck assign buttons and also the sync button to the jog wheel. They're quite close, so if you're doing some frantic scratching, frantic practice, you could possibly hit those buttons when you might not want to, so just be mindful of that. So that's it. So with the crossfader curve set to sharp, your jog wheel senses all the way to the right, vinyl mode on, slip mode off, and the other settings that we went through in the software there with the latency and the deck speed, that's all you need to do. You're totally optimized for scratching now. So once you've got those settings in place, if your scratching is not sounding right, then you need more practice because it's not the gear. So without further ado, let's have a little demo just to show you what can be done on this controller once you've got those settings set up.